I filed this lawsuit, I was given this booklet. And it's the United States District Courts for the Southern and Eastern Districts of New York. Eastern is Brooklyn and Suffolk and Nassau. Joint rules for general civil, criminal, admiralty, and magistrate judge proceedings, and the Eastern District standing orders of the court. And that was effective October the 26th, 1983, and I was given that. So, but yesterday when I go into the federal court and I ask for the local rules, this is what it is now, today. And this is effective October 26, 1983, but it's the 10th printing of June 1995. This one was the 8th printing of November 1992. And I got charged $1 for it. That's the way. Now, this Rule 26, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, say that you have to file a report in 10 days as to what happened at the 26F discovery meeting, which Cablevision defendants and their lawyer defaulted upon. They never came. So you have to send out a report to Judge Bryant, and that's in the process now. Here's a picture of my sheets that I told you about. I told you to get those little sheets with the dogs on them. Isn't that cute? There's about 8 or 10 dogs on them. Now, these are all of my discovery papers, which you have read, or I've read to you. You know all about them. And all 5 of them, Cablevision has defaulted upon. They haven't given one piece of truth. Not one piece of truth. They're going to lie right up until the end. And something very, very bad happens to them, and I hope it's go to jail. As I was going through the Cablevision files to try to find the local rules and to try to find the rule that states that a pro se does not have to file a pre-trial argument form. I wish the clerks knew that. You know, they should know that. And I told them once before when I was filing several appeals back in 1984, so I had to tell them again, that a pro se does not file the yellow form. You wonder where the yellow went. Anyway, I found these interesting papers going through the Cablevision file, which is paper, copy box. This long, this wide, this deep. There's 2 of those. And it says this is Judge Bryant's decision. This is Judge Broderick's decision. It says, the complaint is dismissed on the grounds that duplicative litigation is impermissible. And that's what Kalaji and Strickland are doing now. Getting out an answer 130 days late, going backwards. Duplicative litigation is impermissible. He finds Judge Broderick that there's no violation of the Constitution or any federal statute law. Can you imagine a man saying that they didn't violate a federal statute law? Well, in effect, Judge Bryant overruled Judge Broderick. This decision really no longer stands, nor does its affirmance by our Court of Appeals, the United States Court of Appeals, Second Circuit. It's funny when you go back and read the dumb things that Kalaji says. There's a whole pile of them. Someday I'll take them out, write a little paper about that and read it to you. The things that Kalaji said, and every one of them he lost on. And here is the appeal, and it was filed in the United States District Court yesterday. Notice is hereby given that Plaintiff Glendora hereby appeals to the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit from the memorandum and order of Charles L. Bryant, United States District Judge in the court, denying Glendora punitive damage and denying that public access is a public forum. This memorandum and order was entered on the 19th day of July, 1995. There's a couple other things there too. Costs, and here's I paid $5 to start the payment on it because it costs $105, but you have 10 days to pay that. And then you have to include the order. And then here's this form I told you that pro ses do not have to make out. And I took a copy of it right here. See, this came. The United States really runs a good court. It's a whole lot better than the state court. When you get a mandate about the judge's decision, included is this information from Chief Clerk Lange. If you want to appeal it, these are all the steps how you go about appealing it. And they even send you a copy of a form for the notice of appeal, which has to be in 30 days from the issuance of the mandate. Well, right down here it says the requirement for filing the pre-argument form is waived in pro se cases. So now the United States District Court, in its $33 million building, has been reminded of that again. A pro se does not make out the pre-argument form, which is this form. But a pro se has to make out the information on the transcripts. But that's no problem, because I ordered the transcripts months and months ago. Remember all the hard time I had getting the court stenographers to do the job? And Judge Bryan had to intervene. Anyway, I ordered them, and they are part of the record. So I heard this morning that I have to send in that pink form, the transcript form, that the district clerk cannot send it in. So that's no problem. Franklin will pick that up and send it this afternoon down to the United States Court of Appeals, and I'll be back with my friends down there. Remember all those nice clerks down in the United States Court of Appeals? And what do we have here? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll tell you about that next week. This is in development. And we'll just wait until it's resolved, and then we'll tell you about that. I want you to know that all of the Cablevision lawsuits have been won by a pro se. In the end, the pro se prevailed. Can you imagine that? 3 of them. The first one, Glendora versus Cablevision, the United States District Court. The second one, Glendora versus James Colfault, Cablevision, in the State Supreme Court of New York. And the third one, Glendora versus Charles Dolan, etc., before Judge Broderick in the United States Court of Appeals. But they've all been won. So the only thing that remains is to prove that Cablevision didn't act under color of state and therefore did violate Glendora's 1983 civil rights, freedom of speech and freedom of press, and to get the $31 million damages. That there are some things that money can't buy, some things that money can't buy. Right. For instance, what it used to buy 10 years ago. And teenagers, they say, don't know the value of $1. Well, they do. That's why they ask for 10. Teachers will tell you, folks, that for every student with a spark of genius, there are 10 others who have ignition problems. As for Glendora versus Judge Matthew F. Capola, the New York State DHCR, what has happened on that this week? Nothing. We are still waiting for the New York State Court of Appeals to say whether they will allow me to appeal the outrageous decision of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. As far as Judge Colabella goes and the Fund for Ancient Courts, Alan Beck, Michelle Mayapath, and Elizabeth Hubbard, we don't have to worry about Elizabeth Hubbard anymore. She's out. But Judge Colabella is away. Obviously, his courtroom is dark. And that brings us up to the law-breaking of Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin. Before we do that, you must have your jokes. Third grade teacher retired after 30 years. She says, in the good old days, the kids used to bring you apples, and nowadays they drive you bananas. And standing behind every successful man is a proud wife and a flabbergasted mother-in-law. And Harry said it is only fitting that the senator won in all the outlying districts because during the campaign he was outlying in all of them. And the wall logs, there was a terrible backup. Finally, the log for July the 31st got out, and the log for even before that, the week before that, July the 24th got out. And here, and I don't think you know the stats on the 31st log. Yes, you do. Or do you? Hello, Kate. How are you? You don't want to be under this light when it's 93 degrees and 93 humidity. She just collapsed. And here's the number of tortious acts. To date is 2,778. Money spent on wall last week was $1.55. Time was 6 hours. And now we're up to the log of August the 14th, 1995, Monday at 1:32 p.m. Roberta Walsh blasted her horn 3 times into Glendora's dining room window. Glendora videotaped her. Roberta kicked Glendora's door as hard as she could. It's all on videotape. You saw it. She screamed at Glendora. Her son James used obscene language that his father Daniel and his mother Roberta taught him. 4 offenses, vile language. There was harassment, the breaking of the White Plains noise law, insulting and abusive language. And when you add up all these tortious acts, there were 39 of them committed within that 10-minute period. Don't go away, Kate. I'll feed you. Just a little second. You know, her food is all out there. And she just wants me to come and take her there and sit with her while she eats. Tuesday was a day of peace. Wednesday was a day of peace. Thursday was a day of peace. Friday, there was a white car that blew the horn. Breaking the White Plains noise ordinance is also the motor vehicle traffic law. The mailman is slamming the new mailboxes. John Porzio returned, refused right here. The letter that we sent him about the new Walsh lawsuit where he has been added as a defendant. We wrote to the DHCR, to Mr. Morgan, Mr. Levine, New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal, 55 Church Street, White Plains, New York, 10601, sirs. This letter was sent to John Porzio August the 5th, 1995. I received it, returned to me August the 10th, 1995, Thursday. Mr. Porzio ignores his tenant in 2A. I have told you before of his passive negligence. I wanted you to see this further evidence of it. I will send the letter to him again today, August 14, 1995. Sincerely yours, Franklin Buell. Case number JF91007S, August 16, 1995, or August 14, 1995. Asked the travel agent, how long does it take to fly to Rome? And the travel agent says, just a minute. Mary says, gee, that isn't bad. Poor Katie's all thin from the heat and the humidity. And Annette is not very bright. She thinks that Gatorade is welfare for crocodiles. And Gloria told her husband that they should move to a more expensive apartment, and her husband says, don't worry, the landlord will be raising the rent on this one. As to Michael Gelman, we're still waiting for another loafing judge to return to the bench. That would be Sarah Lee Evans, and to settle the minutes on the Michael Gelman case. The story on Michael Gelman is that I sent him 2 videotapes for him to look at, and he did not return my property. And I asked him for a period of 5 years. It's okay, Katie. Bad driver. It's a bad driver, Katie, yeah. And I asked Michael Gelman for a period of 5 years to return my property, and when it became obvious that he had destroyed it, I asked him for the amount thereof, $380. I took him to court. It was a bad piece of work by a judge, so I appealed it, and I sued him for $380. And so when I appealed it, I had to buy the minutes, which is one of the biggest rip-offs that we have in the United States today, court stenographers' minutes, and it's condoned by judges and all of the people in authority. Our whole chief judge, everybody condones a rip-off. And also what it does to justice, that it excludes a person from justice. It precludes a person from finding justice, the cost of minutes. And so I paid $400 for those minutes. I'm trying to get them settled. The case is going nowhere. The courts are making fools of themselves. And so we're waiting for that judge to get back to see if the minutes, the corrections and changes I sent in are acceptable. And Katie is washing with her foot in the air. Next we will have announcements. The Chat with Glendora, a public access program, is a public forum. If you have an announcement, call me or write me. Here's a new advised letter from Melissa Cooper of Continental Cable TV. And it's, again, a violation of the federal law, Title 47, United States Code 531E. And guess what? She's going to be sued along with all of the people who own Continental Cablevision. That would be Hostelter and Mayer and Townsend. And it's just going to be another great big lawsuit, just like Cablevision is taking form now. The summons with complaint is being written. But about half a year ago, or maybe a little longer, when Melissa Cooper did something like that before. But they changed it around and they avoided the lawsuit. Here is a letter to the editor written by Elena Ruth Sassauer of White Plains, New York. Your front page article, Funding Cut Seen Curbing Disciplining of Judges, quotes the chairman of the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct as saying that budget cuts are compromising the Commission's ability to carry out its constitutional mandate. That mandate, delineated in Article 2A of the Judiciary Law, is to investigate each complaint against judges and judicial candidates, the only exception being where the Commission determines that the complaint on its face lacks merit. Yet, long ago, in the very period when your article shows the Commission had more than ample resources, and indeed was thereafter requesting less funding, the Commission jettisoned such investigative mandate by promulgating a Rule 22 NYCRR, that's New York Code Rules and Regulations, Section 7000.3, converting its mandatory duty to an optional one so that unbounded by any standard and without investigation it could arbitrarily dismiss judicial misconduct complaints. The unconstitutional result of such rule, which as written cannot be reconciled with the statute, is that by the Commission's own statistics it dismisses without investigation over 100 complaints a month. No wonder the courts are filled with rotten judges. For years the Commission has been accused of going after small town justices to the virtual exclusion of those sitting on this state's higher courts, yet until now the confidentiality of the Commission's procedures has prevented researchers and the media from glimpsing the kind of facially meritorious complaints the Commission dismisses and the protectionism it practices when the complained of judge is powerful and politically connected. However, the Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, a not-for-profit, nonpartisan citizens organization, has been developing an archive of duplicate copies of such complaints. Earlier this year, we undertook a constitutional challenge to the Commission's self-promulgated rule as written and applied. Our Article 78 petition annexed copies of 8 facially meritorious complaints against high-ranking judges filed with the Commission since 1989, all summarily dismissed by the Commission with no finding that the complaints were facially without merit. In round 1 of the litigation, Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Herman Kahn dismissed the Article 78 proceeding in a decision reported on the second front page of the July 31st Law Journal and reprinted in full. By his decision, Justice Kahn, ignoring the fact that the Commission was in default, held the Commission's self-promulgated rule constitutional. He did this by ignoring the Commission's own explicit definition of the term investigation, quote-unquote, and by advancing an argument never put forward by the Commission as to the unconstitutionality of the rule as applied, demonstrated by the Commission's summary dismissals of the 8 facially meritorious complaints, Justice Kahn held without any law to support such ruling, and by misrepresenting the factual record before him, that, quote, the issue is not before the court, unquote. The public and legal community are encouraged to access the papers in the Article 78 proceeding from the New York County Clerk's Office, Sassauer versus the Commission, number 95, 109, 141, including the many motions by citizen interveners. What those papers unmistakably show is that the Commission protects judges from the consequences of their judicial misconduct and in turn is protected by them, and no wonder they get away with all the stuff that they get away, and no wonder they do such rotten work. January, August the 17th, 1995, Scott Brown, who is the general manager of TCI Westchester, 609 Center Street, Mamaroneck, New York, 10549. Glendora thinks Linda Greco, our new public access coordinator at White Plains, is a great asset. The job is very involved and there is so much to learn, yet she has mastered it. She gets the editing of A Chat with Glendora done and done well. There's a lot of it, 5 half-hour shows in 3 hours. Franco DeRose worked hard and long familiarizing Linda with what had to be done, so he deserves credit too. If at all possible, could you give her a raise? Here is today's joke. If you have the law on your side, you hammer the law. If you have the facts on your side, you hammer the facts. And if you don't have either on your side, you hammer the table. Yours in truth, Glendora. This is a communication from Mr. Carl Lancezera. He and Harvey Cash operate the Americans for Legal Reform. Let's put their number up on the screen. If you're having a problem with a lawyer, call Americans for Legal Reform out in Manhattan. And here's a $5,000 challenge. Attorneys Elliot Epstein or Leonard Marlowe. Carl Lancezera bets $5,000 that they cannot successfully argue in a 1-hour public debate that they are not both 1, honorable human beings, 2, honest, ethical attorneys. Carl Lancezera will produce 5 opponents who will argue the contrary. The public will determine the outcome of the debate. The audience watching the debate will vote for the winners and losers. If there is any media coverage, they may vote by phone or mail. The voters will be monitored to assure that they represent a reasonable cross-section of the public and prevent interested organizations to bias the votes. I await their response. Well, this is a news release from Lancezera saying we would like to make an appointment with your news director in order to discuss the enclosed story which we brought to Newsday. This and others like it are the reasons why our organization, Americans for Legal Reform, exists. We shine the light of day on the shameful activities of our court proceedings with renewed hope of reforming the system to better serve the people. In this case, Mrs. Frasca has lost her home because her lawyers wouldn't do their job. Perhaps they would have had they not already gotten a confession of judgment from Mrs. Frasca in direct violation of the new rulings handed down by the Honorable Chief Justice Judith Kaye. Please call the above telephone number to set up a meeting to discuss this case or the judicial system in general between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And that is the story that was in Newsday about legal reformers. Many of them start with the matrimonial proceedings, and what has happened to these people is totally inhuman. All by crooked lawyers and corrupt courts. This is that article that was in the National Law Journal, which is put out by the New York Law Journal, except it goes all over the country. And here's the Frasca article about that divorce. And here's a help and a lift to the people up at Continental Cablevision. This is Glendora. You're watching my part of the thing. Jim said to Paul, how much money do you have in the bank? And Paul said, I don't know, I haven't shaken it lately. Tenants stave off rent proposal. This is about, they had something like 1,000 people rally in front of the New York State Legislature about, you know, that the landlords have $1 million lobby, but the tenants do not have anything like that. And so they rallied up there in Albany, and there were 1,000 people. And this is their good newspaper, they're a very good newspaper. I would like to see you join. And their telephone number is 212 New York City, Manhattan, 695-4204. 695-4204. And isn't it time you became a member? It is, folks. If you are a tenant, become a member. Call that number. Thank you. Such a pretty green with white polka dot stars. This case of Frothingham, Elizabeth Frothingham. She is a doctor, and it's a divorce case, and her husband is a colonel, and it's so messy, and she has been cut off from all distribution. She gets nothing. Here she is, an educated woman, an elegant woman, and she's been reduced to poverty, and she's living in a shelter, and people are making donations to help her. And she put out this this newspaper, which is very well done, and the story of what they did to her life, the courts. And in this case, it's Judge Friedman, I guess. What they did to her life is just atrocious. It's unbelievable how the courts ruin families, homes, fortunes, marriages, lives, all because these judges do not follow these rules. And they shouldn't even have to be rules. They should have it in their soul, in their minds. A judge shall maintain order and decorum in proceedings before him or her. A judge shall be patient, dignified, and courteous to litigants, jurors, witnesses, lawyers, and others with whom he or she deals in an official capacity. A judge shall accord to every person who is legally interested in a matter, or his or her lawyer, full right to be heard according to law. A judge shall dispose promptly of the business in the court. A judge shall abstain from public comment about a pending or impending matter in any court. Just because judges can't be that. They ruin homes, families, lives, fortunes. Here's something about leaves. I think this is so interesting. Why do the leaves turn those pretty colors in the fall? Well, when autumn transforms into New England landscape into a brilliant palette of reds, yellows, oranges, and purples, it's really a sign that the trees are preparing for the cold months of winter. Throughout the spring and summer, most of the foods necessary for the tree's growth are made in the leaves. This food-making process takes place in the cells containing chlorophyll, which gives leaves. Isn't that interesting? End of the announcements, and now this is the end of the jokes, and right after that is the end of a chat with Glendora for this week, August 10th to August 17th. Uncle John helped the young couple named the twins, the niece and the nephew. What did he name the niece? Denise. And what did he name the nephew? The nephew. Now, the nervous father in the maternity ward said to the man next to him, "Here, have a cigar." And the man next to him said, "Oh, thanks, congratulations. Is it a boy or a girl?" And the new father says, "I don't know one cigar from another." And Annette was in the back seat of the taxi, and she said to the driver, "Driver, could you back up for a half of a mile?" And the driver said, "What for?" And Annette says, "I'm $1.50 short." This is a chat with Glendora. Keep your courage flaming. Get out there. Fight for your rights. Don't let people walk all over you. It's unbelievable how the police and the court will walk over people because they know people don't know their rights. But when they find somebody who knows their rights, and that's what this program is dedicated to, teaching everybody that, then they're caught and they have to stop. And we've got a big instance to tell you of that. Take care. God bless you.
Judge Hall came to see the Dolans. He wanted it off, so we did it.
Oh, really? Do you know approximately when this happened?
Oh,
The year 1993?
yes. A couple of days before they took the program off.
The program was taken off on November 12th, 1993.
Right.
Oh, really? Judge Hall?
Yes.
Did he give any reasons?
Well, he said he didn't like what was on the program.
Did he specify what he didn't like?
And that Joseph Derby didn't like it either. And that Scott Lord didn't like it. And that Lillian Rosenblum didn't like it. And that... I guess that's about it.
And who is Judge Hall?
He's a bankruptcy judge in the Eastern District of New York.
And where is his court?
In Westbury, near the Department of Motor Vehicles.
And he had seen the program several times?
Oh, yes, yes. He liked to have his ire aroused.
His what?
Ire.
He liked to have it?
Ire. I-R-E.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. He liked to have his ire aroused?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
It means he liked to get mad.
Oh, he liked to get angry. And did he mention that people had spoken to him about the program, people who had seen the program? Did he say that people had discussed it with him?
Yes, that's how he got to watching it. People told him what was going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what was, were you there when Judge Hall met with the Dolans?
Oh, no, no. No, I wasn't in the case then.
You weren't in the case then?
The case hadn't begun, I guess. No, the case hadn't begun.
How did you hear about this, Judge Hall coming to the Dolans?
Judge Hall's clerk told Allison Strickland, and Allison Strickland told me.
And what did the Dolans say to Judge Hall?
Said, oh, yes, Judge, right away.
Did anybody else come to see the Dolans on a similar matter? For a similar reason?
I think one of the, what are they, trustee, what was his name, Jones?
Oh, you mean the panel trustee of the bankruptcy case? Or one of the United States
One of the
trustees?
United States trustees.
Oh, the trustee would be, you mean Harold Jones?
Yeah.
He came too?
Yes.
And what was his reason for it? Did he say he wanted the program to be taken off of cable TV?
Yes.
He said that?
Yes.
Very interesting. And he said that to whom?
To the Dolans.
And which Dolans are these?
Charles Patrick.
Charles and Patrick. And and what was Mr. Howard Jones, the United States trustee, what was his reason?
Well, he thought it was mean to Judge Hall.
He thought it was mean to Judge Hall. Oh, that's very good. Well, you've answered my questions. I'm satisfied. I have no further questions.
No question? No more? Oh, ask me some more. Yeah, I guess I'll go to home and ride. No need to go back.
I understand. You're not going back to Manhattan.
No.
No, that's right. You're very near Rye. You're only 8 miles. Thank you, Mr. Kalaji.
So they call. When are they supposed to be here? 2:30?
Yes. It's 2:32 now. August 18, 1995, Friday. 2:32 p.m. The time is 5:30 p.m. The date is August 20, 1995. You want to know who kills the grass? It's 4D is the girl, and these 2 boys are non-residents. It's not a playground, it's a residence.
You get ball. Cheater. My hand. You get ball. Yeah, whatever.
Time is 6:15 p.m., 3/4 of an hour. Noise and lawn killing. Ball noise and voice noise. It's not a playground, it's a residence.
I say go. It went like this. I say.
But you can certainly hear it. This is Linda from 4D and 2 non-residents.
I want to tell my mom and dad. Your mommy
And this started at 7:45 and is still going at 8:30. You just can't learn that this is not a playground, it's a residence. What is the date? August the 23rd, 1995, Wednesday. And now you know who killed the grass. You can't see it, this is the grass.
Green box.
D and 2 outsiders, and it's 9:15, and this has gone on since 7:45. That's 1 hour and a half. Whatever they're doing, they can do somewhere else. They don't have to do it under our window. Linda, 4D. (9:15), August the 23rd, 1995, Wednesday. (5 p.m.) This has gone on for 2 hours. And this is Linda for 4D and 2 outsiders. August the 23rd, 1995, Wednesday. Who killed the lawn? Who killed the lawn? Who broke the White Plains noise ordinance? That's just not right, folks. That's a violation of right to peace and quiet, to quietly enjoy. And it's a violation of the warranty of habitability. But we have a do-nothing landlord, and a landlord who never appears on the premises. And this went on until 10 minutes to 10. So that would be 3 hours. No, that would be 2 hours from 7:45 p.m. to 9:45 p.m., 2 hours and 5 minutes. And finally, Franklin went out, and he stood on the steps of the east entrance to the basement. And he watched them, but they persisted for 50 minutes. And Elizabeth came out holding that very cute infant in her arms, and then another woman came out, and she's a visitor, and she must be a relative, and she was holding a baby in her arms, and the 2 boys, who are non-residents, must belong to that woman. And when you add it all up, you've got 8 people in 4 rooms. No wonder they don't stay in their home. No wonder they come outside for hours at a time and live outdoors, so to speak. And this has gone on now for about 10 days. And it's a violation of rights, of your rights. For instance, you have a right to peaceably dwell and enjoy in peace and quiet. So Franklin didn't say anything to them, and they didn't say anything to him. And finally, they desisted at 10 minutes to 10. But it interfered with our sleep. We go to sleep at 9 p.m. and we get up at 5 a.m. And it deprived us of sleep, and it deprived us of quiet and peaceably to enjoy. Now, welcome to the Westchester edition of A Chat with Glendora from August the 17th to August the 24th, 1995, the chronology. We'll first of all start out with your jokes. John said that his son is not so bright. He took a group of 19 friends to the movies because the sign outside said 18 and under not admitted. Also, this same son saved up $45 for a rock concert because he heard that the tickets were $20 in advance and $25 at the door. And how do you make the boss laugh on Monday? How do you make the boss laugh on Monday? You tell him a joke on Friday. As far as Glendora versus Matthew F. Coppola and his law breaking, where do you go when judges break the law? Nothing is happening. We are still waiting for the New York State Court of Appeals to issue its decision whether they are going to give me permission to appeal the rotten, lousy decision of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. And it takes them 10 weeks just to make a simple decision like that. And you know what they get paid? I think I've got the 1994 figure, whether it changed in 1995, I don't know. But you want to know what the what they get paid? I think the chief judge of the state of New York gets paid $129,000. All those years that Saul Walkler was breaking the law, the chief judge of the state of New York was breaking the law, you and I were paying $129,000 to him. I believe the associate judges get $119,000 a year. An associate judge of the New York State Court of Appeals gets $119,000 a year of your money. Now we will move on to a New York State Supreme Court judge, and I believe that they get $113,000 a year. I believe those were the figures that I read in the Judiciary Law, volumes 19 and 19A of the New York Statutes, Consolidated Law Service. I believe that's what I read yesterday. That Colabella makes $113,000 a year of your money and breaks the law left and right, and breaks the judicial code left and right. So what about Colabella? Well, we got that screwy decision from him, whatever it is. I don't know what it applies to, saying that he denied my motion to re-argue or vacate, which I didn't even make. You know, this is why you pay $113,000 a year so a judge can't read a paper. Not that they read them anyway. The law clerks read them, and the law clerks, and how much do they get paid a year? Well, I haven't found that out yet. I read in 1984 that they were getting $5,000 or $7,000 a year. So I don't know. I haven't got up to that yet, folks, in my reading of the New York statutes. But anyway, the law clerk does the work, and the judge just plays around for his $113,000. And whatever this means, I don't know. But this is August the 24th. On August the 28th, if Purvis and the Fund for Modern Courts and Beck and Mayapath, you don't have to worry about Hubbard anymore. She's out. That's a better victory than you can get in the court. She's out, and if they don't submit this order to be signed about my paying Purvis $4,500 attorney's fees, unbelievable ripoff, unbelievable consumer ripoff. The courts, the Supreme Court of the state of New York is the worst consumer ripoff we have today, even worse than Scott Lord. Anyway, if they don't get that order submitted, the rule is that it's abandoned. So don't say anything, keep mum, and let August 28th Monday come. And if they don't have that order settled, it's over with. They can't do anything anyhow, because I have a good news for you. I am in forma pauperis. I am in forma pauperis. I am now, by definition, a poor person. The Supreme Court of the state of New York has accomplished what it wants, making me a poor person. So that's why I tell you, it's very sad. If anybody violates your rights, you go to the Supreme Court, you're going to be ruled against because you're not part of the political party, and they will do everything they can to make you in forma pauperis. But anyway, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I think I like poor better. So there's no way Purvis can collect his $4,500 because I don't have it, and it's a matter of federal record that I don't have it, and therefore of state record. Brings us head on into Michael Koza, a very dishonest and crooked lawyer, but I don't know if there's any other kind except